So I hear RBG. Let's go. I can't shake it loose. This the hate produced. I'm here to break the loose and fight the devil. Ain't no truce. Raise it another level. Shame the devil. Say the truth. And look him in his eye when the enemy's facing you. I can't shake it loose. This the hate produced. I'm here to break the loose and fight the devil. Ain't no truce. Raise it another level. Shame the devil. Say the truth. And look him in his eye when the enemy's facing you. You peak pale skin beast. I hate your red, white, and blue. And cool front plan sheets. I hate your president just sitting in your campaign speech. I hate the British and the Romans and the goddamn Greeks. It's no peace, yeah. Moral persuasion doesn't work with Caucasians. You speak this language through violence with guns blazing. So what I'm saying, negotiating with Satan is to waste the time. You out your African mind. Gonna make these devils pay for every single crime ever committed. Crackers, you did it, now it's time to die. I sprayed a ratchet, I blatted, no moving backwards. I'm sending bullets at crackers and all faggots. Forward is the motion. Killing devils on different levels, concocting potions to stop them from encroaching. On our way of life, I got a knife to slit his throat quick. Get my people hyped, cause what I write is always dopeness. I can't shake it loose. This the hate produced. I'm here to break the loose and fight the devil. Ain't no truce. Raise it another level. Shame the devil. Say the truth. And look him in his eye when the enemy's facing you. I can't shake it loose. This the hate produced. I'm here to break the loose and fight the devil. Ain't no truce. Raise it another level. Shame the devil. Say the truth. And look him in his eye when the enemy's facing you. Take a step in my lane. I'm projecting the pain. Visions and pictures in my veins of us tortured and slain. So many sons and daughters slaughtered, some known in the name. Bringing my eye to the situation is why I came. I shake every pet nation, go exterminate. Marcus Garvey, Mugabe, politic, run them all away. King Pianki type methodology, how the gods slay. Try life and I don't play. Kill these crackers in broad day. Enter the scene, got them clean and watch me swerve out it. Big juju in my pocket, I ain't worried about it. That goes for grown-ups to babies. Salute my Baba Khaled, Muhammad, we solid. I call for violence, is very valid. Yeah, murder these devils, it's divine order. We opposites, I reject them mixing like oil and water. Africa for Africans, representing the word strong. I say shut them borders down and let us get a purge on. I can't shake it loose, this the hate produced. I'm here to break the loose and fight the devil, ain't no truce. Raise it another level, shame the devil, say the truth. And look him in his eye when the enemy's facing you. I can't shake it loose, this the hate produced. I'm here to break the loose and fight the devil, ain't no truce. Raise it another level, shame the devil, say the truth. And look him in his eye when the enemy's facing you.
This ain't no Kumbaya vibe, my Yasa is a war tribe. That's my war cry, double H famine, it's wartime. Devils want it all, wants peaceful coexistence. Anti-separation, he's violently resistant. Cupid tech, bullet pow, hit the deck when bullets fly. The devil won't change and needs to be euthanized. The stupidness, foolish minds, you will get used to blind. Suicide, trusting this cracker is suicide. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you know the play. That peace talk is juvenile, it really don't hold no weight. Fighting hate with love sounds great in theory, but never ever ever work in history. Name one place that this cracker went. Name one place that this cracker left alone. I bet that they was war prone. Keep a piece in your wardrobe and know the world's a war zone.
I can't shake it loose, this the hate produced. I'm here to break the loose and fight the devil, ain't no truce. Raise it another level, shame the devil, say the truth. And look him in his eye when the enemy's facing you. I can't shake it loose, this the hate produced. I'm here to break the loose and fight the devil, ain't no truce. Raise it another level, shame the devil, say the truth. And look him in his eye when the enemy's facing you.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister Keisha, your brother Tad, your brother Blacksmith, along with our sister Marcia, will be joining us shortly. We got a lot to discuss tonight. It's going to be hot and heavy. You know how the team get down. We passionate, but we thorough. That's what we do over here. Best believe it. I see my brothers ready to rock and roll. Brother Tad, what's good?
I
Brother
can't call
Black.
it Brother Black. What's the word?
What's up, brother Tad? Go ahead, man. Talk, man.
Nah, I'm just giving my salutations, man. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? The weather's nice. Sister Keisha killing that fedora, matching the fly mo shoe joint.
We gonna call her Mellow Yellow.
She's showing off on the low, brother Black.
Mellow tonight. I'm gonna keep it mellow tonight.
Look, she said we gotta step our fedora game up. That's silently telling us, like, brothers, get it together.
It's too hot for that right now, bro. I don't know about y'all, but right here where I'm at, ooh.
No, this is straw. This is straw one.
Sister Keisha by the fifth dimension in the solar flares. That's what happened. That's why he's so hot.
Listen. For those who've been listening, you know my brother Black has been on point, and we keep trying to tell y'all, but you know, you gotta like my grandmother used to say, I can show you better than I can tell you. How about that?
Well, Sister Keisha, like I text you in the message, how you was on point because Diddy get his home raided one day, but the week prior to that, you done gave us a breakdown of each function of all of these government agencies. And Department of Homeland Security raiding his home was in contradiction to what you have shown and proved to us of what their function is. And just like we know, everybody's saying now that they only invaded his home trying to find the evidence that can indict their elites. It's not so much a pup. They want to make sure he don't have no leverage against them for when they really come. But we called that early, before this whole puff thing unfolded. So what I say to that, Sister Keisha, it's crazy that when we're futuristic, people can't get a grasp of it because it sounds crazy. You know, I constantly talk about mind control in the United States and how it works. And people only believe a trusted source. And that's only if they believe them, not the knowledge, but they have to just believe that person and then they take their word as bond. That's how cognitive dissonance kicks in. Because even when you present folks with evidence and facts, they want to hold their position so tight and not let go, they don't even open their minds to receive this new information. So they may look at us like a know-it-all, like, no, we've studied this for decades. And not just study, we have been engaged, organizing people, mobilizing people, getting things done in this space. So this is very valuable. That's why I love messing with my brother Black, because I know he knows what he's talking about. I like to tease him, but you notice me and Sister Marcia could go all night. I'm not going to debate brother Black.
We're going to leave that alone.
And you better keep on doing it too. Yeah, man.
No, I'm definitely
love it. But you know, whether people want to believe it or not, you know, time reveals all truths. And we are in a truth-telling time right now. But before we get kicking off into this show, because we're going to start off with Brother Black. So, because he got a lot to discuss. A lot has been revealed. We're going to get into it. But we got to give our people some love. Sister Donna, Brother Kerwood, Alabama. Heavy. A BB Fahodier, Sister Farnessa. Farnessa, please tell me that you was in on NVIDIA stock. Please tell me, sis. We sit pretty. Come on, sis. We sit pretty with NVIDIA right now. And for those who don't know, I'll give y'all the tea right now. I think right now NVIDIA stock is $129 a share. Just Monday it was over $1,200 a share. The makers of everything AI with NVIDIA, and they split the stock. So for example, if you had 10 shares of NVIDIA stock, what they did, because they wanted to give the common man a chance to buy into this, they split the stock. So if you had 10 shares, they gave you 10 additional shares. So I hope people was listening. Now, for the next one, you might want to get in this. I think it's maybe $34 a share. Last I checked this morning. But Affirm. Now, people are tired of credit cards. Affirm is making a killing right now. You can buy just about everything with Affirm, and Apple made an announcement yesterday that they will now accept Affirm as a payment method, and the stock took off. So don't say I didn't put you on up here. Don't say I didn't put you on up here, okay? If it ain't tech, if it ain't crypto, I don't know too much, but I'm gonna give you that tidbit. But let's keep going with our shout outs. Aunt Marie, Uncle Jesse, Pizzo on the check-in. What's good? What's good? Brownsville family. Sister Joyce, Brother Monty. Sister Joyce gave me the good news today. Her surgery went well. So we want to clap it up for her. Clap it up for her. Clap it up for her. That's what I'm talking about. Rush, rush, rush. Philly family in the building. What's good? What's good? Lumumba Philly in here heavy. Brother Lumumba, what's good? What's good? They in here heavy. We got a lot to discuss, family. But, you know, it is Juneteenth month. Black History, Black Music Month, I should say. You know, when the spirit of song touches a child, they can't help but to react. So we're going to start tonight off with some good vibes from our young brother imitating James Brown. Here we go, family. Let's go.
I'm fucking proud. Chill out. I'm fucking proud.
That's
Chill
right.
out. I'm fucking proud.
Woo.
Chill out. I'm fucking proud. Chill out. I'm fucking proud.
Woo-hoo! Say it loud.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Now, Rush, you know, Uncle Dragon is smiling down on that. You know that. You know that. If you don't know about James Brown and my family, I question your relation. You ain't related to us. That was a prerequisite for every barbecue at Uncle Dragon house.
That wasn't one of Taz's grandsons?
I'm gonna tell you, his hair, my grandson hair is like that right now. My grandson Corey, shout out to him. I got a chance to spend a little time with my grandson earlier this evening. It's always good when you see your grandbabies and you sit and talk to them, play with them, and get the love. You know, it's nice being a grandpa, especially one that's still active. It ain't like I'm decrepit or nothing.
You ain't got the double canes in the walker yet, Tag.
Nah, not yet. And hopefully I won't be there.
Ever. That's what I was about to say. Ever.
Yeah, never.
We crossed that out.
We rebuke that spirit.
In the name of Jesus. Yeah, Russ said, I was about to say, yeah, you listen, James Brown was in heavy rotation at Uncle Dragon House. I'll tell you that right. Bushwick Ave was lit with James Brown every summer. That is a fact. But anyway, I want to start off tonight with our brother Black, because you know, we gotta give a brother his props. When he's right, he's right. He told y'all what was gonna happen with Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and I don't know if y'all look at Joe Biden when he's talking. It looked like somebody cloned Tyrone to me, because he be having these dark black eyes with no whites around him. You know, I noticed that looking at Usher too. But anyway, that's another story for another time. So before we turn it over to our brother Black, Harvard University study. Let's get into it, family. Aliens might be living amongst us, according to the study by Harvard academics. Excuse me. A new paper suggests extraterrestrials could be living underground or in a base inside the moon. The study by Harvard University's Human Flourishing Program, and y'all need to look that up. I'll put the link in the chat if I can get to it. Human Flourishing Program further puts forward the idea that UFOs or unidentified aerial phenomenon may be spaceships visiting their Earth-based alien friends. Now, Brother Black told us before that you're going to see all of this popping up. You're going to see rumors of wars and, you know, but don't fret. Don't fret. I'm going to turn it over to my brother Black. Give him the 1-2, brother. Give him the 1-2.
All right, Sister Keisha. Being that we started with the space stuff, I'm going to go there first. For for the short period of time I've been coming on this show, I've been talking about solar flares and sunspots and all of the activity coming off the sun. If you ever done anything called sun gazing, and you look at the sun when it's a very clear, beautiful day, you now know that when we were growing up, as all of us here is in our at least late 20s, when we were growing up, the sun used to be orange or yellow, and now it's pretty much white. And if you look at it, we have a white sun now which pulsates, which has never done that before. That's because of all the activity on the sun. The sun is a planet at the end of a day, or a star, and it lights every planet in this galaxy. So it's changing along with us. The Earth is no longer in, I've said this on the show before as well, the Earth is no longer in the Milky Way. We are now in what's called the TRAPPIST galaxy. And you need to look that up. It's trap, like setting a snare for an animal. TRAPPIST. So 2 P's IST, TRAPPIST. We've been there for some time now. We actually have 4 suns. Most of the time you can't see it, but on a good day, if you know where to look and where to find it, you can see at least 2 of them. They are on the 4 corners of the earth. We already know about the ice that surrounds the earth. There are 33 continents. There's a lot of stuff that they don't reveal because that may be another form of space or outer space or whatever you want to call that. Outer space is not like some vast black, dimension. It's actually water up there. It may be a different type of water, and we all know that space is 99% melanin. Like I've said that on the show numerous times. So as far as that's concerned, the Schumann resonance is popping. Y'all need to check that out. That is how you measures the Earth frequency. I think on a normal basis is 7.83 hertz, but with us rising in frequency and in through the dimensions is going to go up, and these inorganic beings ain't going to be able to take it. So that's they're going to disappear slowly. Something I didn't write down in my notes here, but I'm going to bring it up shortly because we already.
Sister Farnessa said, I want to know what they're hiding in Antarctica. Me too.
And
Yellowstone.
They're hiding all kind of stuff in Antarctica. Antarctica, actually, I've said this on the show before. The whole world used to be, this Earth used to be a tropical planet. But when they came on the Earth, they started making it cold because when we started dying, places that used to be tropical started becoming cold because our frequency wasn't there anymore to keep that temperatures up and rising. Everywhere used to be tropic zone, jungles, everything that you would see in a jungle, you used to see in Antarctica and in the North Pole and all those places. And what they do there, we know they have crazy tunnels down there. They have laboratories, and they have their places where it's warm and it's not as cold as they say it is, and so on and so forth. And they do experimentation because they know nobody can't get there. If you probably went within 100 miles of Antarctica, you probably get shot at and brought in and questioned, and then they'll just send you on your way if they don't kill you, especially if you've seen something you wasn't supposed to see. But check out the Schumann resonance, and check out like I said, the sunspots, the X flares are coming in, M flares. I've been feeling all kind of crazy for the past few weeks because I can't sleep. I go to sleep 3 a.m, wake up 7. I can't sleep no more. Then I got to do stuff and just eventually get tired.
Me too.
So, yeah, that's a part of the ascension system. The symptoms. What I wanted to talk to you about last week, Keisha, that we never got to talk about was Kol Nidre. I sent you some information on that. That is something that's very important in our community. What Kol Nidre is something that so-called people, I won't say the name, so-called J people stole from the Hebrews and the Ethiopians back in the days in order to make laws that they don't have to, they can take an oath or they can take make a vow or a promise that they don't really have to keep. And this is why when things that happen, like such as the raid on their synagogue early this year happened, you saw it in the news. It was an international situation, and for 2 or 3 days, it was the biggest news. And then you don't hear nothing about it. We don't know anything that happened in court. Who was arrested? Why were they arrested? What did they do? What did they find down there? There had to be an investigation. This is on the news. It's video. So it's not like I'm making this up or talking about some conspiracy stuff.
Now you
what
talking
happens
about,
as a result?
are you talking about those tunnels that were found?
Right, underground
Brooklyn?
synagogue on Eastern Parkway.
Yeah, in Brooklyn. Go ahead.
Right. So why don't we know what happened? It's a public situation. Why don't we know what happened? We know they found beds in there, cribs and baby stuff and stuff like that. Why isn't that news being disseminated at this point? That was 6 months ago. Yeah, you never heard anything about it. So basically what I'm saying with Kol Nidre, and if you can't see it, you spell it K-O-L like Larry, N like Nancy, I like Indian, D like David, R like Robert, E like Edward. And what that is basically, it's a policy that they have where they can basically do what an attorney did some years ago to one of Sharpton's aides, and then say it was consensual and no investigation, they get off scot-free and all this and that. He's
talking about attorney Sanford Rubenstein,
correct.
Accused of SAing one of National Action Network staffers.
There you go.
Go ahead.
So those guys, they take those kind of oaths, and we know, especially coming from Jay York, that most of the judges and lawyers are of that strain, and so between them, they can just talk, make deals, and you don't even hear about it in the news 3 months later. Even though it was a big case. Along with essaying that woman, she was gang-ard as well. So we have to let the people that are not from New York or who didn't know about that situation know that she was gang-ard as well. So that
that situation too, just to give a little context. It was alleged that she had taken some edibles that was laced. There was Viagra found in the room with a Sharpton's name on it.
Wow.
But I just want to give that context. Go ahead, Brother Black. Continue.
Okay. So that's called Nidre. Check that out. With that said, Sister Keisha, you said something a few weeks ago on the show, and this is where I'm trying to make the connection. With what Ye went through 3 years ago, and what Kyrie went through 2 years ago. What some of us can do, and we don't need to look to any leader to do it. You can do it yourself. Is knowing your history, you can claim that you are a J person and start taking advantage of all that money that Hochul gave up to them a few months ago, and start using these Kol Nidre laws and stuff like that. And you can claim that because now that the story is out, you can claim these things that they claim because we have the right lineage now that it's out and people know now. It's not like, oh, what is he saying and all this and that. And that's very important what Tad said at the beginning of the show when he was talking about, how some people are labeled being futuristic and being labeled crazy. This is hindsight now. This is no longer something that's like, what is he talking about? What does that mean? And so on and so forth. So with that said, if you dealing with them, you can deal with them behind the scenes. You don't have to deal with them in court all the time. You know what I'm saying? You can go to your state attorney general's office if you don't want to go to court and adjudicate cases that way. You don't have to go through all the crazy paperwork and all that. You make an agreement with somebody. It don't have to touch the papers if you don't want to publicize and make your situation happen the way you want it to. So just know that those things are available to you if you have the right lineage. There's a song called Lineage by Jaguar Wright. This is way before she started talking and all this and that. It's an old song. It probably came out in the early 2000s. I suggest you check that song out. That's a side note. That has nothing to do with what I just talked about. Okay, so use their laws and take advantage of it. The reason why I thought of it recently is because of all the revelations coming out. It has been said that Zimmerman, who unalived Trayvon Martin, yeah, my bad. Trayvon Martin used Code Nidre in order to get off because, you know, it's basically saying I made an oath and I didn't really mean it at the time because I was emotional when I made it. So I suggest y'all look it up, read it for yourself. It's from Hebrew and Aramaic law, which are the Ethiopians, because that's the language they sing it in, even though they speak and were born and raised speaking Yiddish. So in case anybody got a problem with that. The tide is turned on the migrants.
I put the link in the chat so y'all can at least read the Wikipedia's definition of it.
Thank you, Sister Keisha. And by the way, I wanted to say Wikipedia is soft shoot it. So if you want the real, research it in other texts and so on and so forth. They base their justification on what they do on the Talmud. And if you know anything about the Talmud, is very, 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 very like, you know, you can't do this to another J word, but you can do this to a Gentile, you know, from their perspective. They are the Gentiles.
Also, another text that they can read is the Protocols of Zion, if you wish.
That too. Beautiful. Yeah, that's even better because it goes, you know, it's non-religious. It goes straight to that is the Zionist Bible, by the way. Not the Talmud or the Torah. The Zionist Bible is the Protocols. Okay, now the tide is turned on the migrants. I'm not on the ground in New York, so y'all could cover that a little more. But I know now they're giving them a limited amount of days to stay in the hotels, and some of them in shelters, and some of them are on the street. Now it's summertime, you know. I guess some of them don't mind being on the street, but you know, it is what it is as far as that's concerned. I believe in the near future, I believe they've been tagged and quartered, so they're gonna go back to where they're coming from. None of the stuff that they trying to scare us with as far as them taking over and all this and that, that's not gonna happen. You just gotta stay the course and do what you have to do in order to keep a roof over your head and just continue living your life the way you know how to see it. And like I said, the celestial continues. Check the Schumann resonance. Check there are other things happening. I believe there's a planet in retrograde right now in relation to the Earth. I don't know which one. I looked it up, but I didn't find the answer I was looking for. And with that said, I'm gonna pass it back to you, Sister Keisha. Thank you for that time.
Thank you, Dr. Fillet. Protocols of the Learned Elders is also what it's called, right? And
they denied the existence of that document too. That they made. Yeah.
And also, we want to have a moment of silence for Dr. Nathan Hare, who transitioned a couple of days ago. I see my sister Marcia. Let me bring her in here. Sister Marcia, how are you?
Peace, family. Happy Blacktastic Thursday. Brother Black, Brother Tad, Sister Keisha, how is everyone doing? And everyone listening. Hope all is well. And yes, our great Baba.
Brother Black said, Sister Marcia, that things are turned up here in New York. And in fact, the other day we had two homicides. One in, I think, on 40th and 8th, and the other near Macy's. And, you know, it is what it is. But remember, family, you know, the New York City mayor, he says New York is the place for everybody. That's what he said. It don't matter where you're from. But just so you may have forgotten, because you know this mayor loves the clout chase. So this is how he does it. Here we go.
Everyone knows that New York City is the Athens of America. It's the Istanbul of America. It's the Kyiv of America. It's the Seoul of America. We are the Tel Aviv of America. New York City is the Islamabad of America. The Zagreb of America. We are the Lima of America. New York City is Mexico City of America. This is the Dublin of America, New York City.
Just this foolishness, you know what I mean? But now you
No
got
African city whatsoever.
No, where's the Nigeria of America? Where is the Ghana, the Zimbabwe, the Jamaica, the Haiti? Where is everyone that look like you, Mr. Mayor? What's going on?
Come through, Marcia, come through.
You forgot who you look like? What's the problem? What happened to our African folks? And you said I'm for black people. You are for nobody but for them who lines your pockets. You're
in my bootleg, you know.
You know, he's from a long line of those who want to prove that they can be the best for the powers that be, that I will be the best bootleg there is. But
instead of being the best for your people and helping your people quench this oppression, but no, you just want to keep adding to the people. You're a sorry man. Sorry.
You know, he comes from a long line of those who fight for the chance to be the HNIC. And this is throwback Thursday.
But what has, outside of money, what kind of clout have they gotten? Because again, that's the clout. That's the clout. That's the clout. But when your community and your people are still suffering, none of this matters.
Facts. But like I said, he comes from a long line. And this video came across my timeline and just brought back memories to see how Negroes fight for the chance to be the HNIC. We going back to when Al Sharpton and Roy Ennis got into it. Here we go, family.
The courage to denounce the black bigot. I think Roy Ennis is no good, and I denounce him. That's a lot of crap. Look, brother, you have your time. That's a lot of crap.
Count indictment in Manhattan that accuses him of diverting hundreds of thousands of dollars to his personal use after using fraud, grand larceny, and false business records to solicit funds from such diverse contributors as Don King, the boxing promoter, and Don Trump, the billionaire. Sharpton will be arraigned on state income tax charges later in Albany. In Manhattan Supreme Court, Reverend Sharpton was formally accused of taking in more than $250,000 for his national youth movement. The money allegedly was donated over a 3-year period to support youth programs, but State Attorney General Robert Abrams says lots of that cash went into Al Sharpton's pockets. About all the charges, they say he stole money.
Same charges that Dr. King had, same charges gone. Where's all of the mob money? Where's the tickets go? This is disappointing. I thought they could do better.
What about not filing for taxes?
Every now and then. Black people don't owe no taxes. We ain't got no rights. They like my hair.
10 kilograms is like $350,000. That's a drop in the bucket. You know, we can go bigger. Every kilogram we bring in, 3,500 kilos.
I was not an informant. I was not and am not a rat because I wasn't with the rats. I'm a cat.
So, along with Mayor Adams, who also is under federal investigation and his campaign, no one seems to learn the lesson. They continue to follow the script, no matter if it costs them. Brother Black, your thoughts on that throwback video?
For those of y'all who are young, you know, probably under 30, and don't remember Al Sharpton like that, he ain't start smoking crack. He just started taking Ozempic, which got Oprah in the hospital, by the way, or so they say. But as far as that was concerned, that was back in the days when Sharpton was supposedly a revolutionary. When is that before Tawana Brawley or after?
After.
It was after. Okay, yeah. Well, you know, at that time, I was a fan of his until I found out he was an informant. And then I just stopped. You know, he's an informant. Don't listen to what he just said. He's an informant. Period. The point blank. Period. He's on paper and has been known since the 70s. And Alton Maddox used to talk about it all the time. So it ain't me saying it. If you want, you can look it up. Even the Village Voice exposed him some years ago. I was still in New York at that time. But anyway, he's a rat. That's it. Next.
Brother Tad, your thoughts on that throwback?
Where do I start? So Sunday we was talking about snitching, who it applies to, how does it help the community? These are points I was trying to make before the conversation went left with my brother.
Shout out to the OG Wisdom Podcast.
So, yeah, again, Sister Keisha, we got to get rid of folks, right? But here's the thing. Al Sharpton don't consider himself a snitch, but anytime you're involved with organized crime, you're only going to function in the capacity of criminality. No. You tell on those people you are committing crimes with, makes you a snitch. No. But even then, we could point to many times Al Sharpton has sold out. I believe in the early 2000s or maybe the late 2018, 19. Remember, Lil Wayne had a song where he said, I beat it up like Emmett Till. And Al Sharpton went after Cash Money, right? He brought the heat to them, tried to shut them down. They gave him hush money in the form of a book deal. Now, what record company you know gives people book deals? And the one and only book deal. This is how Al Sharpton took his hush money, because he put out a book under Cash Money Records or publishing, and it all went away. He left it alone. Al Sharpton is a rat. Let's make no mistake about that. And this is why we constantly talk about faulty leadership. But people are only in leadership position based on the people co-signing them. Never make no mistake about it. Nobody walks into an office and then just take positions of power. They have to dupe the people. And this is why here at Thorough Black Talk, we always want people to have an open mind and be critical thinkers. Think for yourself. Stop regurgitating rhetoric. I know it sounds good. It feels good. Everybody been saying it for forever. Elijah Muhammad said it. Malcolm said it. But we have new information, and we are now updated on what is happening. As Brother Black said right now, it's no longer for seeing stuff. It's now hindsight. It's 2020. We passed it. Take a critical look at who these people are in leadership. Sister Keisha just played you clips of Eric Adams showing you he has no allegiance to black folks. Let's stop falling for these charlatans. And to tell you the truth, those who really about that life need to start dealing with these people, because everybody's acting so scared. And we got to stop this kumbaya stuff, because sure enough, by the time the aliens come, they ain't going to take us because we ain't organized. We ain't on the same accord. They're like, you ain't coming to my planet with that bullshit. Y'all stay right here. I'm going to take those who organize and act right. Am I right or wrong, Brother Blacksmith?
Hey, Tad, let me just piggyback on that real quick. For y'all to see exactly what we just talked about, as far as Reverend Sharpton in particular, watch the Boondocks and the ones with the late in the later seasons, maybe the last 2 or 3 seasons, where Reverend Feelgood, I think is his name, and he was like supposedly playing like what Al Sharpton and Ben Crump and all these guys under him now are doing, you know, chasing ambulances for cases where black people either get maimed or outright killed, to see how they, I mean, it's exaggerated, of course, because it's a cartoon, but that's exactly the tactics they use. They come in, they distort the picture, and then they take over, and before you know it, the people just getting settlements, nobody go to jail.
The Boondocks was futuristic. No, you hit it on the head, because me and the children used to always watch the Boondocks. Look at how they had the rapper Gangstalicious showing him as a homo thug. Now we fast forward, all of these homo thugs. Like, so much what they talked about. The itis or the people fighting over chicken, and then Popeyes came with the fried chicken thing, the sandwich. The Boondocks was out before that. But it's almost like our people are under hypnosis and we're easily misled. We don't understand the power of suggestion. That's why anytime I talk about our story, I always want us to get the language right, because subconsciously we be reiterating white thoughts and ideas without even realizing it. When we say things have happened so long, even when we talk about slavery, we constantly say 400 years, but Black people weren't enslaved for 400 years. And remember, we got tens of thousands of years of rulership, kingship. Like, why don't we revisit that? We keep going to slavery and we stay there, and slavery only interrupted our greatness. But if we keep starting there, that's the same thing white people do. You're slaves. You're below us. You're beneath us. Let's talk about us having our power. But Black folks don't know what power is no more, because we can't even speak truth to power, because we don't even speak truth no more. We like feel-good moments. That's why reverends are in charge. That's why a dude could come with a kufi and dashiki, just say back to Africa and we ready, even though he may have never even been to Africa. And it's no knock on nobody, because we need the African consciousness before we could go to Africa physically. But nonetheless, let's get our story right and stop regurgitating misinformation, because this is why we're stuck. We don't deal with enough truth. And Black, one more thing, I wanted to jump in when you talked about space being liquid. I love it. I love it, because in our ancient Kemetic teachings, how did the planet start, or this realm that we know? The primordial waters of noon. It started as water. You know what I'm saying? So when you put that out there, it's amazing that if we go back to what our ancestors already taught us, we would be better off. And this is why they didn't write on papyrus. They writ our story in stone, because they knew there'd be a time where people would try to erase who we are. We need to go back to who we are and stop accepting this identity that's been pushed on us by our ops. And we, as Black folks, we really don't get it. We keep saying we warriors, but we don't want to hurt nobody. But we'll hurt each other over a look or a disagreement. I'll kill you. But this dude could displace my grandma, displace my children. And I'm like, well, they just got the money. But I'm going to get off that soapbox right now. Let's Sister Marcia.
We know before we let Sister Marcia go in, because I know she going in. But I remember, and shout out to Sister Pat in the chat. She said, if it wasn't for the attorney at War Automatics, Sharpton will be pressing license plates. And you ain't going to ever hear him mention that. You're never going to hear him mention that. You always have fakers amongst us. And as you said, Brother Tad, it's time for us to really go after these folks. And that's one of the things that really frustrated Attorney Maddox prior to me stepping down as MC, because I was putting plans in place to do just that. And one of the gripes that he had was he did not have his license, so he could not protect me legally. And that frustrated him, because he saw where I was going with it. Because I don't got time for foolery. And I was ready to put some people down, because it is what it is. It is what it is. And we're going to have to figure this out to get it done. And as you said, we got to remember what our ancestors really went through. And I don't know if you guys really can comprehend, if you will, how really connected we are. We live in a space that keeps us distant from our ancestors. But I'm telling you, when you move in divine order, you can hear them very clearly. I'm telling you. I just wanted to throw that in. Sister Marcia, your thoughts on that clip?
On Sharpie being Sharpie? Sharpie is making action moves right now. So what's going on in the island that the boat dropped off my ancestors, and in that island, they're resettling the government and everything like that. The Kenyans are going in, and there are opportunities, and as the opportunists they're trying to make a move. And so somehow he's linking up with CCC, and that is what's the Bernard.
A.R. Bernard.
Yep. Bernard's church right here in Flatlands, Brooklyn, if anyone doesn't know. And so they're trying to make a big move for IET during Juneteenth, which I find very funny. And I get it and I don't get it all at the same time, because the people that need to, the same way there are FBAs that says the only person that needs to fight for reparations in America is FBAs. Well, then the only people that need to fight for Haiti are descendants of Haiti, right? And not have all these people trying to find a way to get in and mine the materials that are there. It is our responsibility. And so Sharpie and A.R. Bernard are making this whole grand gesture to do this whole prayer movement and getting selected Haitian American politicians here in the US to come in and to see that we rally support so that they could get a plane, and they say they're going to do a missionary. The same thing that the colonizer does, they're going to do. The same thing that we are afraid of people going onto the continent and doing, they are trying to do, right? Going in with your American mind on an island that you know nothing about. And it's sad because when I talk to my brothers and sisters, or when I talk to my family members, they're all like, well, you know, that's going to be good. You know this and you know that because they're going to be. No, you can do this. And I fear that us as Black people just seem to relinquish our power to everyone and don't see a way for us to recapture our glory. Like Brother Tad was saying earlier, we have tens and millions of years of knowledge before us, yet we relegate our knowledge to 1804 or our knowledge to 1619. There's so much more before then. And, you know, I believe in the power of our ancestors. I believe in the power of clapping our hands and praising. And I believe that we are going to make a change, but it really takes a lot of dedication to make this change. And all I need to see is dedicated folks ready to move, even wherever they are, right? So if you're in Haiti, I need you to really act like an African, right? Don't sit there and say, oh, I call on my ancestors and I do this, and yet you're still trying to be like Americans, right? If you're on the continent, you want to call on your ancestors to be authentic, not to be like these Western people. But I digress.
Hey, can I ask you questions real quick, Sister Keisha? Sister Marcia, what is the predicate for Kenyan military forces to go into Haiti?
Well, this is all going to be IMF and World Health ploy, right? Because they're going to sit there and let the Kenyan know that they have privilege, right? And, oh, we're going to give you some economic resources in Kenya when they're not going to, because we know how this has worked out in previous years with previous countries, like even during the earthquake. Taiwan, I want to say, went into Haiti with the premise that they were going to get kickbacks into their government. And this would help the Taiwan and Chinese America problem that they're having, right? This was going to help give them kickbacks. But the Haitian people kicked them out, which I'm very pleased. So they didn't get to, father many children at that time, but they did leave their remnants there, right? They did spread a cholera. They did spread a couple of diseases from their native country onto Haiti. But what I'm saying is, and to your point or to your question, there's just a financial kickback that's going to happen in benefit of Kenya, which Kenya thinks that is going to help them. But even, what's that doctor's name that talks about Kenya very often, is saying how Kenya's financial crisis is getting worse and worse. So there is a sword that's being played. And for the Kenyans, the sword is going to be twice as hard, because you're sending people that look like us into the country, but you don't speak the language. So now you're going to act like them, look like us, and we're going to not know who our enemies are. So that's the problem for Haiti, right? Because they're going to see these brothers and sisters and they're going to think, oh, and it's going to be a different A, and that's not going to be good. Look for the unification of Black folks. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, real quick, I want to say this, and then I'm gonna let Sister Keisha get it back. But Kenya is playing a very pivotal role in world policy as I see it right now. So there was some they attempted a coup there some years ago, not long ago, and there was an attempted coup in another country a few weeks ago that got quashed real fast, and it was by one of them countries in Central Africa. So we need to look. I'm going to look into that, and then I'm going to try to hit on that next week.
And Kenya, in addition, Kenya is also going into the Congo. So it's very tricky what's going on with Kenya. I think Kenya is positioning itself poorly on any board that it's playing. But, we just have to be very mindful as Africans that these people are using us against us. The same way, we can say that people from other countries come in and, immigrants come in and they place them in urban settings to, ruffle the feathers of the African progress that's happening in its present state. This is the same thing that they're doing now. So we have to be very mindful and really be intact and connect with people that really know what the business is about versus what, like Tad likes to say, your feelings. Don't get your feelings into it. Think about the business of it all. And the business is Africa first.
The way, now that we broke it down that little bit, the way I'm seeing it is possibly with all of the countries that are becoming independent of France in particular, but as a whole Africa, that's probably the only country they still have a real stronghold on at this point. Kenya has the most white people of any African country on the continent because the temperature there is temperate. I got
More
a real
than
good
South
Kenyan.
Africa?
Say again?
More than South Africa?
Yeah. No, well, South Africa doesn't even have a population of 30 million. Kenya got numerically speaking, maybe South Africa has more on a percentage level, but Kenya probably has 90 million people. So you could easily fit 5 million of them in there. And the proportion would be probably a little more than South Africa. So, yeah, I'm going to look into it, and I'm going to give a little Africa report next week as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you, family. And, Mama Africa always lets us know that, we have a common enemy. And until we understand that and understand the dynamics of warfare, we're going to keep going around in circles. And I think Sister Marcia laid it out beautifully that you got to fight your own fight. You can't allow people to come in and dictate what your fight should be. If I punched you in the face and somebody came along and they want to fight on your behalf, they don't know that I punched you in the face. They just know you're ready to go. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to think a little bit clearer these days and understand that this is warfare. Things are propagated to us on a daily basis. And we got to bob and weave. So, moving on, those of us who tried gallantly to let our people know that this jab was a hindrance, not only to humanity, but to the family structure. A lot of us witnessed so many friends and families, co-workers, who lost their lives believing in this system. And now the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has released a judgment against these pharmaceutical companies, stating that what they deemed a vaccine to be was illegitimate. As a matter of fact, they want to know what the hell is in it. And now you have people from the World Health Organization, the CDC, and many others backtracking and when people like independent Black media outlets and people like our brother Reza Islam and others were trying to warn our folks that these people are diabolical and they were telling us lies. You have Black doctors who came out and put everything on the line, but our people believe the enemy, and this is a crisis that Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad often talked about. You have to rinse that cracker out of your head before you can do anything. We got people today who are still walking around with masks as if that is a deterrent to disease. Is crazy to me. You can listen. Matter of fact, let me get off my soapbox because I know my brother Tag gonna go in. But I gotta play this video from a former director of the CDC. We'll hear his commentary and we'll come right back and we'll discuss this, family. Hang on.
Upset with CDC when I left because they stopped tracking people that were infected that were previously vaccinated. So if you didn't track it, well, because then you couldn't report that there were people vaccinated that got infected.
But no, wait, why did they stop tracking it?
Because I think there was a decision not to do anything that made the vaccine sound like it didn't work. You know, I've always tried to be honest that I think there was some major mistakes in the vaccines. They should have never been mandated. I also felt that people should have been more honest about the fact that there were side effects to those vaccines and some people were actually harmed. The other thing I thought there should be, you know, more honesty about the fact that the vaccines don't protect against infection. I remember Biden saying, you know, this is an epidemic of the unvaccinated.
Because what is happening in America right now is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Let me say that again. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. There are about 90 million Americans who are eligible to get the shot, but haven't gotten it yet.
When I was Hogan's chief public health advisor in Maryland after I left CDC, I was saying, wait a minute, 2/3 of the people that I'm seeing infected in Maryland have been vaccinated. I mean, the president of the United States said it. Biden said this was an epidemic of the unvaccinated. Tony wasn't aggressive in putting this in perspective. The CDC didn't put it in perspective. The reality is this vaccine, listen, it's a short duration in which this vaccine provides some efficacy, maybe 4 to 6 months max. You know, if you came down and visited me and interviewed my patients, you know, you'd interview patient after patient after patient that did not have COVID, but are very sick. Right. You would say very sick, long COVID patients. And it's all from the vaccine. Now, what is it, Chris? Well, it's the spike protein is immunotoxic. All right. When you get infected, it's immunotoxic. But when you give the vaccine, we make the spike protein. Now, this is my opinion. Okay. When I give you an mRNA vaccine, which I helped develop and I've given to a lot of patients and I've taken it myself multiple times, I don't know how much spike protein you make.
Right.
Because I give you mRNA and then your body makes it.
Right.
So you make a little, you may make a lot. You may make it for a week. You may make it for a month. I'm now more of the point of view, and I wish the country would switch more rapidly. I'm more of the point of view, and in my clinical practice, I use the protein vaccine. So I know exactly how much spike protein you get. Your body's not becoming a manufacturing plant.
Right.
Okay. I give you a certain amount of spike protein that's not able to replicate, not able to reproduce itself. And I know the decay curve in the human body. And that's the vaccine I use now. It's made by Novavax. I think it's, in my view, it doesn't have all the nuances that we don't understand about those individuals that looks like there's prolonged production or impact or negative consequence from spike protein in some people that get the mRNA vaccine. It's still rare, but it's real. Was there overreach by the government? I think there's no question about it. I might even argue it got worse in the Biden administration. For example, absolutely never should have mandated vaccines, period. Terrible decision. these vaccines do not prevent infection. They prevent serious illness and death, and those of us at risk for serious illness and death. And that's predominantly those with significant comorbidities and over the age of 60 or over the age of 65. So the rationale for mandating vaccine for healthy firefighters and policemen and the military, and hospital workers teachers was emotional. It wasn't, and it shouldn't have happened. We should have always honored individual choice on those vaccines. Secondly, we should have given more credit, and I tried to argue for this, that, immunity from infection has value too. To say that it was of no value, and we had people who lost their jobs who were immune by infection, short-term immunity, but they had antibodies directed against this virus from a natural infection, and they lost their jobs because they didn't get vaccinated. Overreach.
Brother Tad, your thoughts on this clip?
I hate them people. I do. I really do. Because we're in the year 2000. I don't know about our audience. Sister Keisha, how long you been studying this stuff? This, like, not just the glory of our history, but how diabolical the enemy is? If you could remember, back in 2019, there was a measles outbreak in Brooklyn that affected who? The Jewish population, the Hasidic community. I said back then, and I wish we still had our episodes of Straight Black Talk, I said, this is a ploy because they're going to try to vaccinate the whole world. I said, they're attacking that community who pretty much is as we know, they're a super powerful group. I said, but if they could get them inoculated and don't allow them to stand on religious exemption, nobody else has a chance. That was 2019. Then a year later in March, what do we get? We get a global shutdown. But at the same time, when you're watching the finance, you see the World Economic Forum talking about the global reset. Notice after Obama, nobody talked about the New World Order. Like I said, when I came into studying and consciousness, I learned about the New World Order first, and I knew that it will be biological and chemical weapons used on the masses. I knew all of this was coming. So once we saw it in 2019, remember, there was a documentary called Vaxxed back in, I think, 2017, 2018, that we all saw. And they warned us that this was coming. So once I saw them attack the Hasidic community in 2019, I said, here we go. 2020 come, they shut us down. But 2-3 months later, they got this miracle cure. And we all know that it takes years to develop an effective vaccine. I said, because we don't know the long-term effects. That coupled with what we've already studied, we knew not to listen to these people. But they don't wipe so many people out, including my dear mother, and who I beg not to do it. I got laid off for a few months because I'm like, yo, I'm just not doing it. I cited the Constitution that it was illegal for them to force me to take anything, especially since we all knew it was experimental. It was experimental. They guinea pig the whole world. Everybody's acting like they did not force us to do this. In fact, Dr. Fauci said in the Senate hearing, what was that, last week? He didn't force anybody to do that. But everybody's mandated. If you don't take it, you can't go to school, you can't go to work, you can't travel, you can't do anything. So how is that not forcing me? That's called coercion. You forced everybody to take the jab. They laid me off for a couple of weeks, right, Sister Keisha? But then I fought, so they let me come back. But then they tried to lay me off again. I cited the Constitution, and I told them religious exemption. EEO called me and asked me, what religion do I practice? I said, now you, being EEO, you know that's against constitutional law for you to even ask me that. I don't have to divulge you what religion I practice. So you can say yay and nay. That's religious discrimination in itself. But we as Black folks don't really study stuff enough. We're very emotional. We keep putting our emotions, and I get it. We are emotional people, but we got to know it's a time and a place for that. Be emotional when you got a new baby in your family. Don't be emotional when you got facts and business to stand on. We have to get smarter. While the rest of the world is moving forward, we keep doing the moonwalk like Michael Jackson. Sister Keisha, you and I, we always took these platforms. We gave the best information from the best scholars, the best doctors, those who in opposition of what the popular narrative is. We know these folks lie. We know they lie. Now look at them. After they slaughter people, would they come back? Oh, my bad. That's all they could tell me. My mama is gone. And all you can say is my bad. We was wrong. But when I told you was wrong, yeah, I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
I'm telling you, because it's rough, because seeing, like you said, our loved ones pass away after being inoculated with this concoction of death. And we try very hard to get people to understand, some people still suffering. You don't know how this thing has altered your DNA. And now you have to think about it as far as germ warfare is concerned, because if this thing alters your DNA as it is being reported, what about sexual intercourse with one another as you pass these fluids? Are you passing on altered DNA? But anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, Sister Marcia. Your thoughts.
Right, Sister Keisha, and not to cut you off, Sister Marcia, you are 100% right, because they didn't even talk about how do we interact with our loved ones, because a divide in people's homes about this, because they were saying who could come to your house, who can't during Thanksgiving, don't have more than 4 to 6 people in your. How would you really?
Remember, like you said, they was even pulling up on the hats, pulling them out their house. Yeah.
Yo, it was just crazy. And people really don't get this. And that's because we don't stand together. Like Empress Filet said, you know what I'm saying? The King Alfred plan. When you talk about it, they think you're a conspiracy theorist. But you're like, no, the writing is on the wall. Here it is. I'm showing you this is the game plan. But because only book we want to read is Facebook, we don't believe it. And here it is, step by step on how they moving. They said they did line number 2, line number 3, they up to line number 4. And they talking about 5 and 6. What part are you missing in the game plan is when we tell our people and they think we bugging out. They think we crazy. And I'm like, yo, Bill Gates is not a doctor. He's a computer programmer. Why was we even taking the lead from him when he said he wanted to populate the planet? How do you depopulate the planet? You delete folks. This is mass extermination. William Cooper talked about it in Behold the Pale Horse. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, Sister Marcia. It just pains me, because the only thing I can say is I'm glad for my mother was quick and painless. It was quick. Like you said, Sister Keisha, some people are still lurking with it. I think we just saw a report where people's bodies are literally decaying while they're still alive. This stuff got their bodies decaying, turning to walking corpses. This is crazy. And we keep falling for the okie doke.
Back. Sister Marcia, your feelings on this clip.
So, I lived with elderly people and Jaquan. And so when they're like, oh, I'm like, I don't care what doctor. I would go to every one of my parents' and sons' appointments. Like, no, he's not taking it. And the doctor's like giving us a list of things. And you should see, like, my mother and father, they're like, like little puppies. I'm like, you better listen to me or I'll stab you dead myself. You're not doing this.
She's talking about stabbing her mother?
My father and my mother.
Everybody.
Yeah. And my son, if I needed. I had no problem. Because if anyone is unaliving anyone, it will be me, especially when it comes down to my family. If it's not by natural causes, it's by my hand. And, especially, the first few months, March, February, March, they were just like, yeah, you got to do this and you got to do that. And I'm like, you don't have to do anything, and it was really because they were removing your way to take care of your finance, your family through finance. It made it very tactical. Like, you really had to be able to pinch corners. And if you weren't willing to pinch corners and you would do those things, then you would suffer. And So like now my mom goes to the gym. So my mom's always a little gym rat. So now she's back at the gym and she's like, oh, all the ladies that took it are now saying their knee hurt, their elbow hurt, that they don't feel good all the time. And I said, look at you, you don't feel good and you didn't do it. So could you imagine what they're feeling like? So the question is about maintaining our sovereignty, and our sovereignty starts in our house with our own bodies. We can't just say, oh, we're sovereign as a nation. No, we're sovereign as an individual first. When you can say that I denounce something and I stand strong on what I denounce, you become a more sovereign person each and every day. And it becomes tricky, right? Because Ratchet TV makes it seem like the party's outside with the jab. And the party is with yourself outside without it. You make sure you know who you are around. You make sure you keep yourself safe at all costs. You are your only survivor. And I don't know why people just tend to not think of that so much. But again, we know how the capitalist system works. So we tie that all together and we understand why people fall for the gimmick. Because if I can't pay for my new iPhone 900 that's $3,000, then I'm nobody. Now keep your iPhone 7 and it takes good pictures. You'll be fine. You'll be
Once he is hilarious. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Just a little clip for Brother Tag because he likes William Cooper. And you know, we throw it back over here. We don't play.
Called the Statue of Liberty. It's holding the torch of illumination, which is the Promethean torch of Freemasonry. And if you go to the Statue of Liberty, you'll see a bronze plaque inside saying that this was given to the government of America by the French Grand Orient Temple Masons. And it is a symbol of Grand Orient Freemasonry in America, the holder of the light. And that's exactly the same torch that is carried during the Olympics. It is the torch of Prometheus.
It's not the torch of freedom.
No, it's not the torch of freedom.
Of the Illuminati.
Illumination. To add also that on the back of the Liberty dime, on the back of the old dime in America, there was the fasci, which you look in the encyclopedia or dictionary, you look at the word fascism, you'll see that the symbol for world fascism was a bundle of sticks or bundle of rods with a hatchet head. That was on the back of the
Well, you see that
dime.
on each side of the speaker's podium at Congress.
Oh, absolutely.
So they have the fasci on each side.
Absolutely, and it's also the symbol for the United States Senate is the fasci. But the point I want to make is that was on the old dime. Now on the new dimes, you will see it has been transplanted a torch instead of the old fasci, because fascism was used at one time to prepare the world for the New World Order. Now the New World Order is in place. That's why on the dollar bill it says Novus Ordo Seclorum is New Order of the World.
There you have it. I had to throw it back. Had a classic come up. But we got to move right along deck. Time is flying by. We got 2 more topics to discuss. And the first being, right now, there is a barrage, if you will, of attacks on our people, on our folks. And I just want our people to stay abreast of what's happening. Please stay alert. Watch your surroundings. Pay attention to what's going on. You know, don't get caught up in foolery. If you on your phone walking and your head is down and you're not paying attention. Just the other day, someone sent a video of a grandmother walking with her 3 grandchildren, and she's holding their hands about to cross the street, and some man jumps up and snatches one of the babies and takes off running. So, you know, me personally, that's why, you know, you may call me and I ain't answering the phone. If I'm in motion, I'm gonna wait till I get stabilized and secure before I call you back, because it's crazy out here, especially in these New York streets. So let's look at some of the things that have been popping up in the news as far as that is concerned. And we'll come right back and we'll get into Russia pulling up with Navy ships. Here we go.
Sandra, police driving behind 27-year-old Judd Sansone here in Elmhurst early this morning couldn't read his license plate, and it seemed to be deliberately obscured, so they pulled him over. And that turned out to be a pretty good call by two young police officers here in the 110 precinct, because in that car, police found 2 guns, 9 fully loaded magazines for those guns, body armor, knives, axes, handcuffs, even a machete. And even that wasn't the most disturbing thing they found. According to police, they also found a note that said in a foreign language, "God forgive me for the bad thing I'm about to do." What was that bad thing? Well, police aren't sure, but they say getting Sansone off the street was wise.
Our officers were out there. They observed a black Ford Explorer with a blacked out license plate. The license plate, you couldn't even see the license plate. The covering was so dark. Our officers stopped the vehicle based on that. They started to conduct an investigation, and pursuant to that investigation, they recover one 9mm Glock handgun. They recovered 9 loaded magazines. They recover a heavy body armor. They recover handcuffs, NYPD uniform items, 2 axes, a stun gun, multiple knives, a weighted whip, and an expandable baton.
Riding around with a temporary tag, what is your intent? To avoid the fear? Sometimes that is. However, we are seeing an uptick on individuals that are committing shootings, robberies, burglaries, home invasions. Their method of transportation is a vehicle, sometimes stolen vehicle, and I would say about 80% of the times they have a license plate cover.
The Joint Terrorism Task Force is also assisting in the probe of Judd Sanson, a 27-year-old who lives at this home in Jamaica with his father. Neighbors say he has a mental illness.
He is bipolar, and I think the system just forgot about it.
The deli owner next door told us the suspect is always trying to help in the neighborhood, but added he thinks he's a ninja.
A Philippine background. He did a little martial arts. We knew he had little nunchucks and all those things.
Justice Department says 58-year-old Mark Preto was planning a mass shooting and wanted to recruit others with racist beliefs. Court records allege Preto revealed his plan to FBI informants, which involved shooting up a rap concert in Atlanta, Georgia, because he believed there would be more black people there to shoot. Prieto wanted to carry out his plan sometime before the election. He's charged with firearms trafficking for use in a hate crime, punishable by up to 15 years in prison.
Federal court records are revealing how the FBI broke up a plot to stop a mass shooting. Back in October, the FBI says it began its investigation into Mark Prieto after a confidential informant who spoke with him more than a dozen times over 3 years at various gun shows said Prieto called for a mass shooting targeting blacks, Jews, and Muslims before the 2024 presidential election. During a January gun show in Phoenix, Prieto tried recruiting that informant and an undercover FBI agent. According to court records, Prieto wanted to carry the plan out in Georgia because, he says, when he was a kid, that was one of the most conservative states in the country. More specifically, Prieto wanted to carry out the attack at a rap concert because he said there would be, quote, a high concentration of African Americans. During a February meetup at a gun show, Prieto began offering details of the plan, including the number of guns to be used. During this meetup, Prieto sold that undercover agent a gun for $2,000.
So again, these things are popping up all over the place. And whether you believe it or not, the 2025 plan is in effect, both as a political arm, a social think tank, and an economic think tank. There are components that are operating all over the place. So I just want our people to stay abreast of what's really happening out here. Don't get caught up with foolishness. Just stay alert. Watch your back, your front, and your side. And know that none of these politicians still today have come up with a plan to protect Black people in this country. They have plans and hate crime bills for everybody else, but nothing for us. But Russia has something for them. It's pull-up season. Now, I don't know if you all have heard the news, but it seems that Russia has moved some ships on the coast of Cuba and other places, and they are tired of the BS. They really getting tired of the shenanigans. So, Sister Vera sent me this video the other day, last night rather, and we play what y'all sent us. Sometimes it's a lot to get through. Y'all sent us a lot of stuff, but I'll be getting through it. I get through it. But let's play this clip, and we'll come right back and we'll discuss it. This clip is a press conference presented by the Schiller Institute. And hopefully, if we have enough time, we will break down what the Schiller Institute is. Remember, this is warfare, and you have to understand how propaganda operates. Here we go, family. Let's play this, and we'll come right back.
Ritter was forced to make from his appointment to speak at the recent St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, which was attended by 19,000 people from 136 countries. It was hardly a secret meeting. And it's hardly a secret that we have a problem in the United States. For example, this is hardly a secret meeting. It's hardly a secret that American society is at a crossroads, and today's topic defines it better than anything else. We are aware of the dangers that have occurred, particularly because of highly irresponsible actions taken in the military sphere, including the bombing of early warning systems in the territory of Russia. Scott Ritter, who people are aware, has gone out of his way in every way possible to call the attention to this, is here with us today. We're going to begin with him, followed by Colonel Black. So, Scott. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. It's an honor and privilege to be here today to talk to you about a topic that sadly is being ignored. Pick up the morning newspaper, pick up the afternoon newspaper, pick up any newspaper, and I doubt you're going to see on the headline, America at imminent risk of nuclear Armageddon. But that should be the headline of every newspaper. That should be the lead story of every newscast. Not because the goal is to frighten people. I've had many people accuse me of fear-mongering, saying that it's irresponsible what you're doing, promoting fear. I say it's irresponsible for the American public, for the American citizen, to allow the government that works for them to engage in policies that will lead to the termination of all human life on the planet Earth as we know it. And that's the end result here. We're talking about a number of things. Today, we can talk about a failure of diplomacy. You know, I have said that we are at a period of time in our nation's history that is far more dangerous than the Cuban Missile Crisis. And a lot of people take umbrage at that, especially people who didn't live during the Cuban Missile Crisis and have no concept of what the Cuban Missile Crisis was. But the Cuban Missile Crisis, October 1962, people have said that's the closest the United States and the Soviet Union came to nuclear war. In a way, they're right. But let me talk about some differences at that time. While the Soviets were sending ships with missiles to Cuba, the danger was they were going to run into a blockade, lead to a direct military conflict that could expand into a nuclear conflict. While all that was happening, a man named John McCloy was speaking to a man named Valerian Zorin. Diplomacy was taking place. We, the United States, were actively engaging with the Soviet counterparts to prevent the very war everybody was afraid of. The reason why there was no war is because there was diplomacy, because leaders were talking to leaders. If not directly, then indirectly. If not through official channels, then through the back channel. Diplomacy was alive and well. Today, ladies and gentlemen, right down the road in Wisconsin Avenue is an embassy, the Russian embassy. Seated in that embassy is a diplomat named Anatoly Antonov, one of the most distinguished American experts in the Russian Foreign Service, the lead arms control negotiator for the last remaining arms control treaty between Russia and the United States. He's been sitting there for several years and his phone is not ringing. We are not calling him. We are not talking to him. There is no diplomacy today. And yet our two countries are on a course, a collision course that could very well lead to a nuclear conflict. And when I say nuclear conflict, let's be clear here. Now we're going to talk about doctrine. You know, there was a time when nuclear weapons existed for the purpose of deterring nuclear attack. Now, it's a sick thing, this concept of deterrence. Mutually assured destruction is sort of insanity encapsulated into, a couple words. But that's the reality of it. The United States had nuclear weapons, the Soviet Union had nuclear weapons, and we had to make sure that nobody felt confident enough to use these weapons preemptively to gain some sort of strategic advantage. The end result was mutually assured destruction, nuclear deterrence. And this worked up until the end of the Soviet Union. It worked so well, I have to say, one of my first adult jobs was as a Marine Corps officer implementing arms control treaties in the former Soviet Union, part of the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty, where we got rid of entire categories of nuclear weapons. The first time that we didn't just limit the growth, we actually reduced the arsenals. And this could have led to even greater cuts in the nuclear arsenals. But no, not for the United States. When the Soviet Union went away, we decided that we needed to maintain a nuclear advantage over the Soviets, and we corrupted the concept of arms control. We withdrew from arms control treaties like the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, which gave mutually assured destruction its teeth. See, without ballistic missile defense, the missiles will hit their target, which means that if you go to war, your missiles will hit the target they're aimed at, the missiles aimed at you will hit the target. Under George W. Bush, we decided we didn't want any missiles to hit America. Ostensibly a rational thought, except at the same time, we were seeking to gain nuclear supremacy over the Russians so that our missiles would hit Russia. This creates an imbalance. And after 9/11, we went further. We saw a transition of nuclear deterrence doctrine into nuclear warfighting doctrine, where we embraced a doctrine that said that we could use nuclear weapons preemptively against a non-nuclear threat. Our current president of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, Joe Biden, campaigned on a promise to return America to the sanity of sole use doctrine, meaning the sole purpose of America's nuclear arsenal would be to deter others from attacking us. He didn't do it. Why? I attended a reunion of intermediate nuclear forces inspectors, negotiators a couple years ago, and we asked that question to a senior Biden administration arms control official. The answer, the interagency isn't ready for this yet. Now, I live in a nation that is ostensibly the greatest democracy in the world. I know that I go to vote. I know I look at the role above all else. Thank you very much.
Before you say something, sir, I want to just, because I didn't fully correctly introduce him. Colonel Richard Black is a combat veteran who has seen the face of war. He always talks about how he shed a bucket of blood for his country. He talks about seeing people killed next to him as a pilot. He's a former head of the U.S. Army's Criminal Law Division of the Pentagon, former Virginia state senator. But most importantly, as Scott was just referencing, and I decided I should say something, he has seen the face of war, and he intends to stop it. Colonel Black.
Thank you much for the kind introduction. Yes, I'm Senator Dick Black, and the purpose of our press conference today is to alert the world to the great risk of nuclear accident occurring. We're growing very close to that. It's important to understand the nature of American military doctrine regarding nuclear weapons. Our nuclear doctrine grants the President of the United States plenary authority, unfettered authority, to launch a nuclear strike for any reason or for no reason at all. It is an offensive doctrine. It is not a defensive doctrine. It is a doctrine that allows the president to wake up and decide that he is going to carry out a nuclear Pearl Harbor against an enemy of his choice. Now, obviously, there are political considerations, but if you're talking about a nuclear war, you're talking about a situation where there is going to be such vast destruction that political considerations are going to dim into the background. There was a comment made just this last Friday by a fellow.
I'm going to stop it there because I want us to get into a conversation about what he and the others are saying. Right now, we are in the face of war, and it's unfortunate that you have politicians who have in your name, you who vote, if you will, in your name have sided with the nation of Ukraine, have sided with the nation of Israel, have sided with oligarchs as far as, fleecing natural resources from around the world. Not me, I think somebody. But anyway, snatching resources from around the world, causing major coups. I believe in Congo, 2 Americans were arrested as being a part of an alleged coup in Congo. You see the U.S., as Sister Marcia laid out earlier, getting involved with France and moving Kenya into various other Black nations to guard and fight on their behalf. You have the 2025 plan. You have white aggressionist groups. You have all of these factors and an economic inflation crisis. All of these elements that we have to deal with right now. And no one is really talking about it, as those gentlemen said. Nobody is talking. It's not front page news that we are possibly on the cusp of serious warfare, but they will flood you with gossip. They will flood you with psyops. They will flood you with all sorts of distraction, if you will, so that when it does come upon you, the people are in panic. And when people are in panic, they offer solutions. And sometimes the people take those solutions to their own detriment. We just seen it happen with the C-19. We saw it. Crisis, solution, problematic, death. So, you guys pay attention to what's going on. Brother Tad, your thoughts on, Russia pulling up.
Going real bad.
Go ahead, Brother Tad. Your thoughts on Russia pulling up.
No, you mute. Oh, okay, because you had muted my mic for a minute. I think it's only right. I mean, like Putin said, you're an enemy. You're supplying my ops with weapons. That automatically makes you an enemy. The U.S. run around, say they're neutral, say they don't have no involvement, but yet you're supplying. I think Russia made the right call. I think, I mean, though it's scary, but I'm of the mind of Brother Blacksmith. Let's just keep doing what we got to do, taking care of our family, because it's all predicated on the fear factor, because we can't forget that Russia is a superpower. China is a superpower. America is the rainbow society on the world stage. They're looking at us like, how serious are we? We're talking about dudes who teach their children how to work out, logical thinking, right reasoning. And here we over here telling our little sons they could be girls. How do we compete? And maybe this is what the European needs. You need this threatening power. You need to know that you're not as big and bad as you act. And this, I keep trying to tell our people, they're nobody to be afraid of. Stop being afraid of these cowards. I'm talking about the government. If we organize ourselves, we can liberate ourselves, because the only thing holding us back is our minds, the way we think. That is this, like I say just about every week, there's no place on this planet we can't go. We hate the plantation so much, let's just bounce. Or let's just organize, make it a better place for us if we're going to stay here, and still make connections to move about the world. Every other group is doing it but us, because we're so stuck on this plantation that even when you talk about leaving, they think you crazy. Like Kunta. Remember Kunta Kinte talk about leaving the plantation? Everybody like, boy, you crazy. Don't go talking that Guinea talk. And I guess that's what we talking, because the big bad white man is now under threat. And some of our fellow Negroes is like, what we's gonna do, boss? Because you know, Russia, they station out by Cuba, they surrounding us. And I mean, Sister Keisha, I swear, I don't get how our folks be missing it. This is the same thing we do when we function in the hood. We do this like those of us who've been in the streets, you know, we got issues with dudes. You tell your man, yo, you go up that way, I go this way. We get them surrounded, we flush them out. It's one big game. But we don't study power, we don't study war. Because our Bible told us, I'm not going to study war no more. Meanwhile, the world is at war with us. And we're not talking about really reclaiming our rightful place on the world stage as the mothers and fathers of civilization. I don't want to get too deep, but to your point, to your question about what do I think about Russia, I think they're doing the right thing, because actually I think Putin has been very patient with this government system. And we're just stupid because the Second Amendment isn't for the citizens. The Second Amendment is in place that if you feel there's a tyrannical government, you overthrow them. Everybody keep talking about January 6th, January 6th. That's your constitutional right. Like you said, these people are fighting other countries in our name that we don't even agree with, and taking our money, giving it to other groups that we don't agree with. This is what you call a tyrannical government. It's our duty as quote unquote U.S. citizens. Some of us are denizens who are aware of what that means, but nonetheless, we have an obligation to stand our grounds and be like, yo, hold up, Putin. Don't point the missiles over here. We ain't with them. We not with them. Point it to D.C. I'm over here in New York. But the fact of the matter is, we have to stop the government before other countries do, because they're not going to ask us what our political idea is. They're just going to be like, yo, we wiping all of y'all out unless we do something. And that's our job. We got to get smarter and stop being stupid, voting these people in who don't have our best interests. But I'm off the soapbox.
Diabolical. Sister Marcia, your 2 cents on Russia pulling up.
Well, Russia pulled up many years ago, right? You know, the Cuban Missile Crisis didn't just start by accident. So this isn't the first, but this is damn sure going to be something. I think Putin has, and the SSSR, as I recall it, is going to really make a stand. You know, this little tid that's going on between U.S. and Russia has been going on since World War II, right? Or maybe even World War I, if you really look through the war history of things. So this isn't their first. These rich or elite Americans have been building out fallout shelters since before time. This is what we're calling Diddy's bunker, was once the richest fallout shelter, because they were prepared in the 50s for something to go down that happenstance didn't go down. But I think that instead of us, you know, gladly returning our guns, is keeping our guns. Stop falling into, I'm gonna get $200 for a gun that you paid. Well, I don't know what you paid for it.
$700, $900, $500.
Right. Listen, I don't know. Allegedly, that's the prices of guns in the streets. I don't know. but you're giving them guns back for $200, and when stuff really pop off, you, even if you didn't know how to fire your target, you won't be able to do nothing but leave your community like, so we must consider that as we're talking to young people and preparing them to arm themselves. And I believe that Frederick Douglass' words will come back to in our favor when it's going to get so deep that they're going to say, yo, you want to win this war, you better give them Negroes something, because we're going to be the last defense for the United States if we should want to. And as we are the first, we shall be the last, and we shall inherit our land again. So let's just be mindful and build up our military science, brothers and sisters, because war is on our doorsteps. It's not on the first floor now. They're climbing the steps. So get ready.
Sister Pat said America and her NATO alliance have sent destructive weapons to Ukraine with the intention to bomb Moscow.
That's right.
That's why the move was made.
No, but the move was made even prior to that. They were already in the ships. They were already like, oh, we ain't going here. We're going to see what he says. And now Biden says, oh, yeah, the missiles just can't go 200 miles within what's the capital name? Kremlin. I said it wrong, but thank you, brothers and sisters. You understand.
You're talking about Crimea.
Whatever you just said. So this isn't new news. This is the same news. These are the same weapons during World War II. We were giving weapons to both sides until they bombed Pearl Harbor. We have been riding fences for too long. Keep aside. Stick to your side. And they're not keeping aside. And the same thing, and we're not being very mindful. All these sleeper cells that's come in the past 18 months from Palestine, from Russia, from China, all of these ops are at our door. We think that this little man that so happily the license plate looks suspicious, so we had to pull him over. Nah. There's a real thing happening, and they're just trying to, there's just one lone soldier out here with a weird license plate. Nah, there's a lot of things happening in New York, Chicago, I don't know, but in all 54 states, 52, there are things happening, and we must be mindful, brothers and sisters. Shit's going down. And like I've said before, history repeats itself. So if you just kick it up a notch, read something from history, read your old history books, because I'm a book nerd, so I have textbooks from elementary school. Even if you pick up one of those textbooks, you'll see that they're talking about the same thing with different characters, but the same players, different presidents or prime ministers or whatever. So let's just be mindful and remember what they call it. Israel is only 70 something years old. So they're grabbing land, and they're starting with Haiti.
Speaking of grabbing land, I don't mean to cut you, but you have to ask yourself also, New York is the center of finance of the world. Ask yourself, why is the Duchess of the royal family coming to East Flatbush, Brooklyn, to have a meeting with community leaders and Governor Kathy Hochul? Now, who lives in East Flatbush, Brooklyn? The Hats, right? Black folks is on the west side of Flatbush.
Yeah, but they're going to kick us out. They having that meeting to kick us out.
Oh, yeah. Now, remember, in the late 80s, and I said this before, that Camilla Parker Bowles and King Charles now, came to New York and Philadelphia and various cities saying that they were here to usher in a new gentrification system. So you have to take notice of when these people are pulling up during these critical times, right? Remember that an ally to the U.S. is Ukraine and Israel, which is also allies to the United Kingdom. So just connect all of these dots as you watch events unfold, and we'll talk more about it next week because we're coming down to our show, end of our show, and of course this is Juneteenth. We got to go through some historical facts. So I found some video that'll make it easy on us, and we'll watch 2 clips and we'll come back and we'll discuss them and give you a little tidbit of what we're going to talk about next week, something that Brother Tad just highlighted, and that just shows you how our ancestors work, because we're going to deal with this letter crew hijacking the month of Black excellence, which is Juneteenth and Black Music Month. We're going to deal with a lot of the pushback and fallout from the letter crew. You have a lot of people who identified as transgender coming out and talking about the horrors of it and how they were tricked into doing it. You're going to see videos now. Maryland, I'm questioning Maryland, the state of Maryland now. Y'all knew Miss Maryland is a transgender person. And I listen, we're going to get into all of that, but let me play this historical clip. And look, Brother Tad hot already. I'm telling you, we might go a few minutes over time, but Brother Tad hot already. Hold on.
You know, in the age of American slavery, enslaved individuals were not just laborers, but also entertainers. Singing, dancing, and even fighting were part of their imposed duties. Imagine this: physically imposing slaves hand-picked from the same farm, pitted against each other in bare-knuckle fights. Brutal contests designed by the slave owners to determine who was the strongest among them. Those who endured, those who triumphed, would then face champions from other plantations. A grim tournament of sorts, a testament to their master's cruelty. But the most brutal of these events was the battle royale. Enslaved males thrown into a ring or a circle, forced to fight each other to near death. Their reward? Often nothing more than the fleeting amusement of their masters. A horrifying spectacle, a dark chapter in history we should never forget. Did you?
So when they say, why can't Black men get along? Or why is there so much friction? As Brother Taz said, you never let the Yoruba off the hook. You have to put everything in its proper context. That for the amusement of folks who held us captive, remember, we are prisoners of war, who held us captive and made us engage in these type of things. So when you see why this gang going against that gang, or this crew going against that crew, what's the origins of it? What is the origins of it? So always, family, put things in its proper context. Brother Ty, your thoughts on that clip?
It put me in the mindset of the movie Mandingo. You know, if you can remember Mandingo, you know, his plantation owner took him around, having him fighting everybody. That was starring Ken Norton, who was a boxer back then at the time. You know, and to your point, we fast forward, we got to get to the origins of why we behave the way we do now. Like you said, we can't let them off the hook. In the same token, I always talk about how we think, our value system. We got to move past it. We got to move past it because it's almost like we're on autopilot. We do things not really critiquing why we do it. Why do we get enjoyment out of hurting each other? Why, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day. They was like, they had to block one of our other friends, said, yo, he keeps sending these videos of violence, you know, people getting popped, people getting poked. And I'm like, you know, that's part of the sadistic behavior we learn from our captors. And there has to be a mass deprogramming of the foolishness. And we don't really get it. Like I said, yo, these crackers be going tomorrow. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? We still gonna be stuck in this cycle of insanity. And this is why I keep saying we gotta change our mind. It's a whole new millennium. We just saw the report. Harvard said the aliens is here. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? We still plugging ourselves to the plantation. I've seen videos, on a serious note, I've seen videos of folks who said they've been abducted, said, yo, the people on the spaceship was black. It's like, yo, the aliens are black people. You know what I'm saying? But then let's say it's true. Like, let's say it's true. They come back and look at us like, yo, I know what happened to y'all, but y'all gonna stay in this mindset? Y'all gonna stay in this condition? And we in the information age, like I said, we got tens of thousands of years to draw from of our greatness, of our ingenuity, of our genius. There's no longer a reason for us to behave the way we do towards each other. I mean, I know why, but let's move forward. Once we figure out the why, let's get back to love, because we see these people have pit us against each other. Like I tell young brothers, you delete a dude, right? He out there, he don't feel no more pain. But what about the ripple effect that has on the community with his mother, his children, all these people you're hurting? And we have to stop this cycle of pain that we be perpetuating based on them subconsciously telling us that we have no value. Because you can't say crack, you can't say spit, can't say fat, you can't say none of that, but you can nigga us to death and go platinum with it. Think of Trinidad James. His song really went nigga, 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 and sold records. But the moment, Jay-Z just said, how the Jews get rich? Credit. They wanted to ban him and call him anti-Semitic just because he gave a piece of a clue on how they operate using other people's money. Because we still think of money as cash and carry, not recognize money as a tool. But again, we kill each other, rather delete each other over tools. The money, we think that's the end all be all, and it's not. It's only a tool to get to the next level. And the ultimate level is the life you want to live with your community. Being around a bunch of like-minded people, not worrying about outside oppositions. We see every other community do it. They build their community, invite their cousins, uncles, nieces, and nephews. We're going to live together. We're going to deal with each other like this. We're not going to steal from each other. We're not going to take from each other. Granted, you have little skirmishes, but for the most part, we're going to build together and keep outsiders out. Us, we trying to break out the community and go with the outsiders and then get mad when they treat us like outsiders. Real quick, Sister Keisha, I'm gonna pass the mic. There was something I was, always studying about money and stuff. And there's a Jewish law that, when Jews loan each other money, they don't even charge each other interest, no matter how much money it is. Everybody else outside, why we don't function like that? Because we don't know what power looks like, because we constantly competing with each other, just like the video showed. Imagine had them brothers said, you know what? Let's attack them. They're the ones making us try to delete each other. Let's delete them. There was a story I read during the Reconstruction, when they gave the South back the land that they abandoned during the Civil War. Since we're still in Juneteenth, right? The Union told the former enslaved Africans, y'all still there? Y'all been working the land? Y'all can have the land. The South, the Southerners, they abandoned the land. The white Southerners, they abandoned their land. Our ancestors been tilling the land, been working the land. They knew how to grow their crops. The Union told the Southerners, all you got to do is apologize and we'll give you the land back. When they came back years later, the Africans was like, nah, the Union promised us this land. This is our land now. And when they took it to the newly formed United States, the African told them, I'm not going to work with this man who I seen essay my mother, delete my father, sell off my children. He said, I'll burn all this down before I let him have it. And here's where you get, when we riot today, how we burn down those things. We burning down those people who exploited us. We got to really understand the psychology of why we do what we do and where we got to go from here. And I'm off my soapbox.
I'm going to leave it at that. I ain't got nothing else to say after that. Family, get ready next week, because we going deep. We're going deep. We're going to deal with this letter crew. And we're going to use their own commentary, if you will, to argue our point. Anyway, that next week. And also some artists from outside of the United States talking real greasy about Black artists. So we're going to deal with that next week. Also, Kitty Mike, or as most popularly known, Killer Mike, made some commentary in an interview with Charlemagne the God. And the conversation was, what is reparations to us? What does reparation look like to us? But we'll get into all of that next week. I just want to show y'all a couple of clips to let y'all know where we going next week, so you can be ready. Here we go, family. Let's get into it. Now, the state of Maryland. Your new Miss Maryland. Here we go.
The first transgender woman to be crowned Miss Maryland.
This is going to mean a lot for all the LGBT kids out there. I hope that my win will be a delicious invitation for them to be themselves.
Kennedy got an opportunity to take part in the pageant after the Miss Universe organization lifted the age limit of 28 and allowed married women to participate. Bailey Ann became the first Asian American, the first married contestant, and the first military spouse to win the title, and the first to do so at the age of 31. Bailey Ann will represent Maryland in the upcoming Miss USA competition.
Can I have a cigarette? No, you're 5. Can I have a beer? No, you're 5. Can I drive the car home? No, you're 5. Can I take hormones and change my sex? Sure, you know best.
What do you think about this?
I'm a biological woman that medically transitioned to appear like a male through synthetic hormones and surgery. I will never be a man. Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance. I get infections every 3 to 4 months. I'm probably not going to live very long. We have 5 children's hospitals in the United States telling girls that they can be boys at $70,000 a pop in a surgery that has a 67% complication rate. That will kill me from infection, that I can't sue on. We're butchering a generation of children because nobody's willing to talk about anything. I have 3 kids at the age that they're doing this to kids. I'm not transphobic. I love my kids.
For the world to not only accept sin, but to celebrate it. Do you know what has been my most enjoyable pride campaign to date?
No, what?
Well, my gay pride campaign, of course. Not only do I get the chance to promote your own self-destruction, I get to use God's logo, the rainbow, to do it. Love is love, right? My plan not only prevents you worthless humans from reproducing, it distorts the gender roles and allows me to bring all types of chaos and confusion upon your pathetic societies. It's been so successful, I've got men convinced they're women, and women convinced they're men.
We got a lot to get into next week, family, so buckle up. Buckle the hell up. Brother Black, your final thoughts, and let's get off the bridge.
Oh, man. It's been quite a ride on this bridge today. Thank y'all. In regard to the last video, that was heavy. I always tell y'all there's books on the last days of Rome. And if you're looking at this, and forget about biblically, if you're looking at all this historically, we in the same timeline. But that's if you're inorganic. If you're organic, if you're doing the right thing, you know, if you're being righteous, not right, but righteous, you ain't got to worry about none of this backlash that's about to hit. They're going to be people that are going to be right in the middle of the tornado and never get touched. And they're going to be people looking at it from half a mile away, and all of a sudden they getting turned up. So it's been quite a ride. We covered a lot, y'all. I know Sister Keisha and the panel got to go soon, so I'm not going to keep it long. Just love and respect each other and continue on with your righteousness. And if you're not righteous, I hope you get there and you get back on that bridge with us next Thursday, and we'll do it again. Peace.
Sister Marcia, Africans on a Rise. Please follow her on IG. Your final thoughts and commentary.
Peace, family. What a wonderful discussion. You know me, I always like to say read. It's very fundamental. The Brooklyn Bridge is a great place to be, but there's, 190 something countries out there. Study. Know something. Know yourself, know your family, and know the world. There's a lot of dangerous thing. That last clip was very scary to me. I don't like demon faces. I don't like scary movies. I don't like none of those things. Those things give my spirit, my soul, the heebie-jeebies. So I may not be looking at clips like that come next week, but I will make it my duty to impart some understanding of the chaos that is in the world around us. So, family, if time may flourish for you, may it do what it has to do. And if it can't do what it has to do, make it do what it has to do. We are creators. We can create whatever we want. And right now, we're on the road of liberations. Oh, mind you, all these Juneteenth events that are coming up this week that are popping off, dancing and singing, is not Juneteenth. Get it together. Tell a friend to tell a friend. That's not Juneteenth. Brother Tad, off to you. Thank you, Keisha.
Hey, Sister Marcia, real quick, 1 second. I'm gonna have that face appear in your dreams with Tab.
No, absolutely not. I will wake up. Y'all were talking about not sleeping between Jay not being well in the night. I don't sleep at night for the past 2 weeks. I have not slept well at night for a long, long time. So please don't send no enemy to me because I will be grabbing machetes, swords, and guns. You're here. Oh my God, shots fired in a house.
You sound like that tonight.
No way. No way. Hey, keep that shit over there. Keep your friends over there, right? Thank you very much.
I'm coming through as Hunter Biden with a crack pipe. Like, hit it, sister, hit it. Nah, but no, today was definitely a dope show, man. I want to thank all.
Say no to drugs.
Yeah, right, and the Bidens, right. I definitely want to thank our audience for tuning in. It's always great to have y'all. It's always great to have this dialogue and to know that as a unit, us four is on one accord, and we're giving you right knowledge and right information. We're not giving you conspiracy theory. For those who've been rocking with us for years, time is the best storytelling, and has proven us correct. What they say, Sister Keisha, what Malcolm said, history best rewards our research, or something like that.
Out of all disciplines, history is best reward to our research.
Thank you, sis. And with us being ahead of the curve is proof that we are well-read, well-studied, regardless to what the rest of the world is talking about, what they're going through. Like Brother Blacksmith said, we're going to stand in the eye of the storm while everything around us is going crazy and haywire. We're going to hold the line and stand on our square. So we want to thank y'all for joining us tonight. Hopefully you were inspired by something you heard. Now it's your turn to go out and inspire others. So y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true. And remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now. So, Sister Keisha.
Family, thank y'all for joining us every week right here on the Brooklyn Bridge. Tell somebody to tell somebody. It goes down Thursdays, 8 to 10 p.m. We definitely appreciate y'all rocking out with us. And remember, you got to have a pass when you cross this here bridge. That's how we move. Always remember, fam. Oh, Jersey. Follow Messiah the movie. Is playing next week, Juneteenth, in Jersey. You want to pull up and catch the film Messiah.
Where in Jersey?
You got to follow. I don't got the location in front of me right now. But follow Messiah the movie on IG for all details. Check it out. It's being played next week, Juneteenth. There are some great cultural events that are happening. Be one with your family. Get the cookout popping. Do what you do. But remember, true courage is knowing how to suffer. The battlefield is where you stand. I say y'all. Good night.